The number one reason why partnerships fail is typically somebody feels that they are putting more into a business and not getting the appropriate reward for it than their partners. So typically that's like remuneration. And so what I like to do when I've got multiple people going into business together is I make sure they address this up front. And the way I do that is using the bucket analogy. Now the bucket analogy is essentially your business is a bucket. And in that bucket, we accumulate profits, we accumulate value, we accumulate assets. Now, profit and value comes out of that bucket in your shareholding percentages. So let's say in this scenario, we've got a 50-50 shareholders. They're each getting half each. They own 50% of the shares each, therefore they get half the capital value and half the dividends that come out of the profits. Now, depending on how they're running this business, these business partners might be putting different things into the bucket. For example, the most common thing is typically time. Now, if they're both putting in the same amount of time and that time is of the same value, we don't have a problem. That can continue to accumulate within the bucket and it comes out on a 50-50 basis. But if somebody's putting in more time, maybe someone's working 4 days a week and one's working 5 days a week, then we need to address that by taking something out of the bucket. And typically we address that through wages. Those wages would then reduce the profit that's in the bucket and we then have less coming out in our 50-50 proportions. The other things that this might deal with are things like if you've got a silent partner, maybe they're a shareholder down here, but they don't put any time in. It's important that we have that wages coming out the top, or maybe they're funding it. Maybe they're putting money into the business and they should get an interest return on that money that they're putting in, potentially reducing the profits, coming back out of the bucket down the bottom. As I said, the number one reason why partnerships fail is when someone feels like they're putting more into the bucket than somebody else or in different proportions to their shareholdings. So to get your partnership right and make sure it's a success, you need to deal with the bucket.